You recognize that tune, and you know it's time for Relics Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting and relic hunting. You can call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. You're listening to Relics Radio of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. And you are live again on Relics Radio. It is August the 23rd, 2018, coming to you from Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. Actually, coming to you just about a mile and a half from town. And only Larry Stevens will know what we're talking about there whenever I say that. I live right outside of Tompkinsville, Kentucky, and for some reason, I don't know why, but everybody says whenever they're fixing to drive into Tompkinsville, I'm going to go into town. And it's just kind of stuck, and people kind of make fun of us for that. But we're coming to you from town, or just outside of town. Relics Radio, I am your host, Digging with Seven.
And I'm your co-host, Tennessee Jeff. And, hey, that's not bad. You're going to town. I grew up in a small town, too, a little bit south of you, and then that's what we would say. We're going to town. We rode this little circle all night long, going Sonic, around the square, back to Sonic, around the square. That's what we done as teenagers. So
you are a redneck if you spend your whole Friday night or Saturday night driving from one hamburger joint to the other along the same road, and all of us have done that. I tell you, that's what happens whenever when you're in a little small town like that, and whenever you are a redneck. And here's the redneck word tonight, and you may have to get you a pad and a pencil and write this down, because I'm going to spell it first. It is F-L-I-C-E, and then the word W-A-T-E-R, flash water. And you know what that is. That's that long wire thing that you kill flies with. But I tell you what, I have a confession here. I was 25 or 30 years old before I knew it was a fly, F-L-Y, swatter, S-W-A-T-T-E-R. But that's your redneck word for tonight, flash water. And that's what you kill flies with.
Well, you just busted my bubble, Seven. That's what I thought it was called.
Oh, you thought it was flash water?
Yeah, flash water.
Yeah, that's the way we say it, flash water. Yeah,
flash water.
Yeah. And you may be like us. You know, before we got running water in the house, we drove a pipe out in the front yard and put a faucet on the end of it. And we do say faucet. We put a faucet on the end of it to make everybody think we had running water. I mean, there's people running up and down the road saying, boy, they rich.
No, we never did do that, but that was a good idea.
Hey, who we got in the chat tonight?
Well, we got Mark Hoover in the house, Ohio Relic Hunter. We got Ken Guthrie, Beyond Sight and Sound. Well, let's see. There's Jordan Anderson. Go on down a little bit. There's Nick Hayes. Larry Stevens in the house. Hello, Larry. That's about it right now. Sorry if I missed somebody, but it's going pretty quick. So.
I don't know.
We got Finding America.
Yeah, so. I seen that in there a while ago. And Anita Jackson just came in. Jesse Rogers just came in. Yep. I don't know if you got Magnetic Marv in there, Mark Hoover. You and I have been in a three-way conversation for the last 2 days and off and on with Mark.
Yeah, we had our own show last night, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Or the night before.
Yeah. And we were all setting up and waiting for History Seekers, and then they didn't come on. And so we were all free and just sitting here. And so we got on Facebook Messenger, and we just carry on our own conversation. I'll tell you, we have and we started to, I was at the lake, or we would have just jumped on and done us a three-way show real quick. But I was at the lake, and I couldn't do all that just with my phone. So I didn't.
I seen Raina, she was driving you around where you were metal detecting. How did that work out?
It worked out great. I mean, she got the boat, and she was driving me around, and I say, pull up over yonder, and I'd get out and metal detect a little bit. Found a bunch of clad and stuff like that. No rings or anything. In fact, I have never found a ring at Dale Hollow. And I've probably found $100 worth of clad, but I never found a ring. Bunch of poor rednecks go down there to Dale Hollow and swim, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, they spend all their money on beers, probably what happens, and then, of course, they don't have any good money left.
Yeah, there's plenty of the beer tabs and things there. There's no doubt about that. We have a great show tonight because we have combined your two favorite shows, Beyond Sight and Sound with Josh Kimmel and Relics Radio with Digging with Seven and Tennessee Jeff. And so good to have you in here with us tonight, Josh.
How's it going?
It's going good.
It's going good, buddy.
I caught you off guard, didn't I? I had to unmute your mic.
Figured I'd give that little bit of delay there and see if you're like, oh, God, where'd he go?
Yeah, and we are coming up on, some of you may know this and some of you may not. This is kind of a problem that all of us in podcasting are having to deal with right now. We're coming up on a situation with Skype, which we use. All of us that host the show, we use Skype to bring our guests on, bring our calls in. And we've always been able to, like right now, I've got Josh and I've got Jeff on Skype. And when we open up the phone lines and you begin to call, we can just pull you right into the group. But the new version of Skype is not going to let us add to the group. And that's going to be a problem, isn't it, Jeff or Josh?
It's a sticky situation. We're working on it, though.
There is a way to do that, but you will have to call in, and we do not answer it. But then we go back, and from the menu on the left side of the screen, we're able to drag you into that group. Am I right on that, Josh?
Correct. That has been a workaround we've used in the past where we can, if someone is trying to connect with one of the shows out there, once they call in, even if we do not have the option to, after they've hung up, we can drag them back into the show that way and have them on with the rest of us. Sometimes, though, it can kind of interrupt the show because you may, depending on how things fall, you may get a ringtone going on with the show that the listeners are hearing as well and things like that. So sometimes it can make for a little bit of an audio nightmare.
So is that what you done last week on History Seeker 7? You called in, and then Heath had to call you back. Is that?
That's what happened. Heath went ahead and upgraded to the new Skype. He said, I'll be the guinea pig. I'll go ahead and do it. And so I called in just to see if I could be added to the group. And he just had to let me drop, just not answer the call. And then he went and drugged me back into the group. And it hooked me up. I got the call on my phone, and then that's what I was on because I was down at Nashville. But, I don't like that. And why do you want to fix something when it ain't broke?
That's right. I mean, it's all about money, I'm sure. I'm sure somebody out there at the corporate situation, they complain, well, we need this, but we don't need this. But actually, we need this. So, I mean, we need to add a caller. So
yeah, we need that option, add to group, and I put a thing on Facebook, and Ken said Lloyd got drugged by Heath. Yeah, he drugged. That's your other redneck word tonight. I got drugged in. Yeah.
Yep.
We tried something new this week too. I think it's going to take a little while for it to catch on, and it may not. It may never catch on real good. But I put in a show prep. I believe on maybe Sunday night or Monday. I think it was Monday. And I put a show prep in to where that people could get on that on our Facebook group, Relics Radio Facebook group, and post questions. And Ken Guthrie was the only one that put anything in that. And he had 4 questions. And so to start the show out, I think we'll just go through his questions, and then we'll kind of branch out from there. But the first one was, Josh, he said, who was your most memorable guest on Beyond Sight and Sound? Not your best guest, but now your most memorable guest.
Oh, I don't know. I've done a lot of shows. So I would have to say, though, that they've all been memorable. I mean, whether they're more well-known or maybe not so well-known or have a lot of experience or even a newcomer to the hobby, everybody has brought something to the table for the show.
Yeah. Well, let me ask it another way then. What is the worst mess you ever got in a show? Have you ever, and I know you've experienced that, you had to have.
Probably, a couple of years ago, we had everything set up, ready to go, and had the links out everywhere. Everybody was looking forward to the show, had went through all of that, dropping them into Facebook groups and all of that. 15 minutes before the show goes live, lightning strikes a transformer outside of the house here. And not only did it knock the town out of power, it fried the show computer, the router for the show, every phone in the house, the thermostat for the furnace. It was a real mess. We still managed to get the show done that night without me. We had to transfer everything over to another host that had power and gave them the ability to tie into the show so that they could broadcast on my behalf. But that was a real headache, trying to coordinate everything, just the logistics to try to pull it off in 15 minutes.
Man, that would be terrible. Of course, Seven runs this show. I mean, he has all the Skype deal, and I mean, I just sit back and talk pretty much. And I could not imagine me being in that situation where the power goes out or something right as the show starts. I would probably just crawl up under the desk and go to sleep or something. I don't know what I would do. And
Right.
Seven's run into that problem a couple of times.
I don't know.
Yeah, I actually had that happen again just a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't a lightning strike, but a couple of weeks ago we were going to go live, and it was probably 15, 20 minutes before the show. The power went out here. It was only out in a couple of places of town, but it just so happened that the block that I'm on was out of power. A block north of us and block south of us, they had power, but I was dead in the water for that show. So the guest, Ken Davis, he was kind enough to reschedule for the following, the next upcoming time slot, and we were able to get it done a few days later then.
And people that don't know, they can't see behind the scenes how much work, how much equipment, how much logistically that we have to do in order to put on a show. I mean, people just don't understand. And the episode that Jeff was talking about, it was 5 minutes until showtime, and we always call our guest at 15 till. We get our level set. I make sure that they can hear the music, and that all the levels are where they need to be, that my mic is okay and their mics are okay and everything ready. And it was like 5 minutes till, and my internet, which is really good and really fast, but the router just for some reason just went offline, and I had to jump up and run down. I'm in the loft, and that's where my studio is at. And I had to run down 3 flights of stairs all the way into the basement and unplug that and plug it back in, and then come up here and hook everything up. And we got in on showtime, but I was out of breath, wasn't I, Jeff?
Oh, you sure was. And it wasn't just a few minutes. You come back on, I'll just run downstairs at 3 flight of steps and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, calm down. Everything's working good now. So, I mean, it was hilarious now, but then it was like, oh, what are we going to do? And then, of course, there you go. 7 got it done again. So
yeah, absolutely. When stuff like that happens, the pressure hits fast.
It does, and there's sometimes it's out of your control. Sometimes there's just nothing that you can do about it. And I've talked to Jeff. I've got a generator, and I'm thinking awful seriously, especially before winter, that I'm going to hook that generator up and just run a dedicated line to my, not the router, but what else? What do they call that box where your internet comes in on?
Your modem?
Yeah, my modem.
Your gateway?
Yeah, just run a dedicated line to the modem and a dedicated line to everything up here in the studio, all the computers and the mixing board and all that stuff. And then, let come what may, if it looks like that there's a thunderstorm coming up or an ice storm or something other, well, I can just crank the generator up, and not worry about it, because it'll run an hour and a half for the show or 2 hours. It'll run more than that. But,
yeah.
Right.
It sounds like you're getting ready for Y2K.
Hey, I'll tell you guys, we did have an incident here earlier this year where on a show night we had, I believe it was 2 tornadoes that hit us. Just mainly the other side of town, but it was enough that it had all the town out of power, and some areas were going to be out for days, maybe even a week. Luckily, they were able to get our power back on just in a couple of hours, so we were still able to go live that night. But as soon as that information hit the internet, my phone blew up. Listeners all over the place. Are you okay? Is there going to be a show tonight?
Yeah, that's what they're worried about, is the show. And we're kind of under an obligation, and I take that responsibility very seriously, because we got a house full of people that are listening to us tonight here, and a lot of people that will listen to the archive. And I don't want to disappoint them. Of course, I know that there Absolutely. Are times whenever things are beyond your control, and everybody realizes that, and they know that there's not anything that you can do about it. But it is hectic sometimes, I tell you. Right. What a lot of people also don't understand, and I've done it from here, I can host any show. I could host Beyond Sight and Sound, and you would never hear me. But I could run from my setup right here. If Josh had a show and all of his stuff crashed, but he had his cell phone, I could host his show from here, and me never speak on the show. I've done that for History Seekers. I've done that for American Digger, Relic Roundup. And so technology is great. I mean, you can do things that a few years ago, was impossible to do, but you can do it now. And so there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that people just don't realize and don't understand.
That's right. And that's one of the great things about all of the shows here on Spreaker, working hand in hand and together like that. We're able to help each other out that way.
Yeah, we're not in competition, and we've said that. Josh was really Josh reached out to us whenever we were having Skype problems when we first came on. We were trying to use the updated version, and it wouldn't work. And so Josh reached out to us, and he gave us the old classic version of Skype and gave us the numbers and everything. He said, download that and then do not update whatever you do. And we did, and our show has run flawlessly since then. But then that's the problem that we're facing at the end of this month here, is that they're going to discontinue that old classic Skype. And so we've all voiced our objection to that, and we've told them that we've got to add to group. And I don't know, I told him, I said, if you want to lose a few hundred people on Skype by doing that, I said, because if we find an alternative, we will not be back. But I don't know if they're gonna hear us or not on that.
Yeah, if we can find something that works and works right, we're not going back to Skype. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Well, and at that point, if that happens, that'll be unfortunate for Skype. And the other shows that podcast, we've done this sort of thing in the past with different hosting websites for our podcasts.
Yeah.
Where next thing you know, we're gone. We're out of there.
Yeah.
And where'd all the shows go? We moved on.
Yeah, and we're a customer, and you have to give the customer what they need to do their business and everything, or you're going to lose them. And speaking of that, we need to pay some bills here, Jeff, real quick, and we're going to run this commercial break, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Hey, Seven, we's looking good in our new Relics Radio T-shirts.
Yeah, Ken and Mark Guthrie of Detectives.com done brung them to us.
Yep. And they makes other shirts, too.
Yeah, boy. Detectives.com can handle tees for your club, hunt, or any other promotion folks may have.
They even got the Wide Pride shirts.
Yeah, them boys does the manatee crawl.
Yeah, scooting on their bellies.
That's what I said. The manatee crawl.
Looks like slugs eating jelly.
So whether you hunt horizontal or vertical, tell the folks where they need to go, TJ.
www.detectives.com.
That never gets old, does it?
It never gets old. It sure does not. Ken and Mark Guthrie are going to be our guests next week. The men behind the shirts. They're going to be
great guys.
They are great guys. We got to meet them at Chattanooga and watch them make shirts. And by the way, guys, on the Relic Radio Facebook group page, if you have a Relics Radio T-shirt, take a picture of you in that shirt, post it there. We will give you a number. It's probably going to be November, and we're going to do a random number draw, and we'll draw a number out of that, and you're going to win a very, very, very good prize. And no, it's not another T-shirt, although that is a good gift. But we've got something much more expensive than that we're going to give away to some lucky listener and somebody that has the T-shirt. And we'll be saying more about that, but probably sometime in November. And so be watching for that and be listening on the show. And we'd like for you to follow us here on Spreaker. You'll have to go to the desktop and pull up Relics Radio, and it's got a button there where you can follow. And I know a lot of people that listen to us, and a lot of our regulars are not followers of ours, because if you do that on a cell phone, a smartphone, you can't get to the follow thing. I don't know what the deal is on that, but nonetheless, we're gonna give something away.
See, Josh, I heard he was giving away his houseboat. I know he's been complaining about the docking fees and all that. So, what do you think about that?
Well, people might go for it if it comes with a limited edition Relics Radio flash water.
Flash water.
Flash water.
We need to make up some Relic Radio flash waters. That's what we need. That's a good idea right there that you come up with, Josh.
Yep.
Yeah,
flash water.
Yeah, whip your kids with them. And that's your next redneck word for the night. Whoop them. We don't whip anybody. We whoop them.
Yeah, we whoop them. It was the other day when Seven and me and Mark was talking. Mark Hoover, of course, out of nowhere, I put, "Do they make shock collars for babies?" And then Mark put on, "What?" And then I was like, "Well, I can't get my baby to stop crying. I need a shock collar where he'll behave." And then.
And Mark Hoover, you got it spelled wrong there. It's FLICE water. Flask water. And I hope that you read that column. That was from the late 70s, I think. No, late 80s. I'm sorry. That I sent you on Messenger, but it is hilarious too. Josh, another part to that question, what made you start Beyond Sight and Sound? Tell us about how that all got started.
That's a good one. Really, I've been in the hobby for some time, I guess you could say. And you could say I spent the duration of my time in the hobby with a little secret. Didn't really say anything on forums or anything like that about it. And one day I decided, you know what is the point of continuing to try and hide it or shy away from it or whatever? Might as well let people know what I'm dealing with out there in the field. And I have spent the duration of my time in the hobby as the epitome of your blind hunter. I am legally blind. I had suffered a couple of different traumatic injuries to my vision that left me that way. And I just decided, you know what? It's not a disability so much as it's an ability to help inspire others to get involved in the hobby. Because if I can do it, anybody can do it. Just get out there and enjoy it. You have to have a drive and a passion, and where there's a will, there's a way. You'll find a way to do it. So I thought, that's great and all, and I'm helping people and I'm getting people involved and really enjoying myself. But now let's take it to the next level. Let's go ahead and start up a podcast about it. And that's kind of how we come up with Beyond Sight and Sound. A lot of people don't realize, and then all of a sudden it clicks, because I do hunt primarily by tone.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, started. My hat's off to you for all that you have gone through, first of all, but for your attitude that you're not going to let that be a cop-out for you to say, I just can't do anything. I mean, you found a way to do it, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I used to really enjoy walking the fields looking for arrowheads. But after those traumatic injuries, that complicated things. So I needed a game changer. I needed to mix it up, and thought, hey, I've always kind of been intrigued with just the allure of finding something that you never knew was there. I need a game changer. I know. We'll go metal detecting. I need something that says "ding, dig here, dummy."
Yeah.
So I picked up a metal detector, and you could say I never looked back.
What was your first find? I've just heard it was a gold ring was your first find.
Well, actually, the first detector I picked up, I'm not so sure that it did very good at locating a manhole cover if I was standing on top of it. So I kind of put it to the side and put it up for a little bit, and then a little ways down the road, I decided, you know what, let's give it another shot. I picked up a Garrett Ultra GTAX 1000. And I don't know, first or second day out with it, something like that, I happened to run across a woman's gold signet ring.
Man.
And yeah, it was a nice ring. And I thought, hey, wouldn't this be cool if I could find out who owned it? Did some looking around. Unfortunately, come to find out the woman who owned it had passed away about 30 years before I even found the ring. And none of the family were still in the area or anything like that, but it's got a special spot in my display.
That's amazing, I tell you. And for those of you that don't know, you're learning a whole lot about Beyond Sight and Sound on this show that if you listen to some of the older shows of Josh, you've probably heard those things. But his avatar that he has actually has a picture of an eye, and that is you in the pupil of that eye with your metal detector, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And when people, because a lot of people don't notice it, it's kind of nonchalant or subliminal or something. You glance at it and you may not realize it until you really look close. And then a lot of people say, "Oh my God, it just clicked. I get it now. That is so cool."
Yeah. I didn't know it until I think you told me and Jeff that whenever. And for those of you that don't know, last Christmas, Josh we were fortunate enough to be guests on Beyond Sight and Sound. And at the conclusion of that show, we had just given away a pin pointer or something, I think, and maybe had given away a couple of them. And I made the comment on the show, I wish we could give away a metal detector or something, if we could get a company to sponsor us or something. After the show was over and Josh closed the show out, as we always do, you keep your guest on the line and talk a little bit. And Josh said, "I got you hooked up. I've got you a metal detector here to give away." So we didn't want to do that on our own, and so we collaborated with Beyond Sight and Sound, and we ran a contest for young people. I believe it was 12 and under, wasn't it, Josh?
Yeah, if I remember right, that
believe
sounds about right.
Yeah. And then we gave that metal detector away right before Christmas. What a great Christmas gift that was for. And Trevor was the one that won that. And then maybe on our next show, and we invited Josh to come back on the show too. Well, we interviewed Trevor and his dad, and talked to them about how he felt about it, and he had gone out and hunting with that, and had already found some stuff, and it was just when you can do something for somebody else, there's no better feeling, is there?
Right. We were able to get it to his doorstep just a couple of days before Christmas, if I remember right, and he was so excited.
He sure was. He was out in the yard, his dad said, that day. As soon as he got it, he was out metal detecting with it. So, I mean, Trevor had a great time as soon as he got it.
Yeah, and his dad has since been a listener of our show. I don't know if he's on here tonight or not. I'm scrolling back up here to see. I don't think that he is tonight, but a lot of times, he is, and we've got a new detectorist, that. Who knows? One of these days, he may take the hobby by storm and be the next face on Mind Lab, or the next face on Garrett, or Tesoro, or any of them, and just be a great detectorist. And we had a part in helping get that started, and that's just a wonderful, great feeling.
Absolutely. I mean, we planted the seed, so to speak, and who knows where it goes from there. But we'll be able to enjoy his adventures right along with him.
That's right. Looking forward to him growing up, and I hope I live long enough to see him start a YouTube channel and all that. He's going to have to hurry, though.
Did you go to the doctor today or what?
Do what?
Did you go to the doctor today or what?
I don't have to go to the doctor to know. I'm on what they call borrowed time right now.
Well, but if you ask Jeff, you've been there for a while, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Early 1700s anyway.
Yeah. You don't have to ask Jeff. You can ask Mark Hoover or Ohio Relic Hunter or any of them guys. They'll tell you, I remember we were doing a video one time, and Jeff has spinal problems and everything, and I could tell, we had just got back from DIV and hunted for 3 straight days there, and that'll just kill you. And then the drive there, and then the drive back, which was a little bit longer than it probably should have been. And Jesse Rogers says 1865. They're always guessing my birthday, and they always got me in school with Abraham Lincoln. But anyway, Jeff was saying, "Oh, my back's just killing me," and we did our little sit down there where we were talking. And I said, yeah, my hip's starting to bother me a little bit. And just out of the blue and just with a straight face, I mean, he said, well, it ought to be. It's 100 years old. And that,
I had somebody asking me just here recently about something that had went on historically in my area. And I was telling them about it, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's right, because you've been around long enough, you probably saw them build it. I told him, I said, well, I've been around a while, maybe not quite that long, although my Social Security number could quite possibly be like 3.
Well, these guys, they claim that, I was, during the Civil War, I was watching the bullets ricochet off the trees, and I waited till the fighting stopped, and I started hunting and found my first bullets there in probably 1862, 1863. And Mark Hoover said, no, it was before 1865 because he was picking up Civil War bullets after they ricocheted off the trees. I'll get you, Magnetic Marv, I will. Another question that Ken Guthrie had for you, Josh, is any regrets on the show?
As far as the show? No, absolutely none. Well, I don't know unless you can think that maybe I should have started sooner.
Yeah, that's the way with me. I wish we'd have started this way before that we did, but it is what it is. We're here now, and I just reached 2,400 subs on my YouTube channel today. And
congratulations!
I was at $23.99, and my last 25 has been a struggle to get there. And I wanted to get to 20, and you always want to do that. Now I want to get to 2,500, but I never dreamed in my wildest imagination. I remember whenever I first reached 100, and I don't know, that's probably been 5 years ago. And how excited that I was, and I thought, boy, I never thought I'd have 100 people that would watch my videos and everything. And now you just stop and you think about it, how many people that we touch in the hobby. And I know that you are the same, and Tennessee Jeff is the same. We get messages, we get emails on a daily basis. Somebody has found something, and they'll shoot us a picture or they'll ask a question. And, it's just a wonderful feeling to be part of a community like that where you can share what you know, isn't it?
Absolutely. I like to see the other hunters being successful and love to play my part, I guess you could say, by being able to help people with those questions. If I can't answer them, well, and same with you guys, too, I'm sure. If you guys can't answer them, chances are good we all know someone that we can point them to get that right information.
That's right. If somebody asks me a question, if I don't know the answer, I can find somebody that does. And so we get comments like Lois says, and some of them's not so good. I mean, you have haters. And if you're doing something good, if you're doing good in life, somebody's going to comment bad on it. Even the giving away the metal detector that time.
That's what
we had bad comments about giving away a metal detector to a kid. Now, how could you comment something bad about that?
And
right.
We had a thumbs down, didn't we, Josh, on that?
Yeah. And there are, unfortunately, there's kind of a dark side to it where you've got some people out there that they just live to hate. I mean, they're not happy if they're not hating something.
And this, I don't know, this life is really too short to be that way. I want every hunter that grabs a metal detector, I want everybody that hunts with me or I hunt with them, I want them to have a great hunt. I just seen Wes Stringer come up in the chat here, and it reminds me that him and Jeff Ford came from Missouri and Arkansas. Wes lives in Arkansas, and they came over, and Tennessee Jeff put us on a spot, and they had a great day, didn't they, Jeff?
They sure did. Actually, I didn't know there was that many bullets left, but Jeff, man, he killed it that day. And then I can't wait to get him out to the infantry camp, and then him and Wes both.
That's what happens when you put the plug master on a spot of ground.
I'm going to tell you something. That guy is, well, first of all of the kudos for the commercial go to Plugmaster Ford, because he's the voice behind all of that. And we got that because he did the lip sync on us. And by the way, he just put out a video where Quarter Hoarder came down and hunted with him and Missouri Mike. And he did another little lip sync at the first of that video. It just came out today. And it was hilarious, as all of them are. But that man can hunt. I'm going to tell you, he is one with that GPX or the CTX or the Equinox. Anything that man picks up is just an extension of himself some way.
See, I wonder if it's because he's so tall he can get down on the relic better than we can. I have no. Of course, my belly gets in the way when I'm swinging sometimes, and I'm sure yours does too, Seven. But Jeff, he's real tall and skinny, so I don't know if he's getting on top of it better than we are or what. I don't know.
Right, he's got that drone view.
He's got that drone view. He can hunt, but I'm going to tell you something, and I've learned a lot from watching Jeff hunt. He is one of the slowest hunters that I've ever seen. He will hit a spot, and he gave us a tip. He said, I paint the ground with my metal detector. He said, that's what I tell Missouri Mike and everybody else that I hunt with. I paint the ground with it. And you know what that means. Whenever you paint, you make sure that you cover every inch of something real slow. And he does that. And it works for him. I mean, he is a fantastic hunter, but Wes is too. And by the way, Wes got a hold of me the other night, Jeff. I hadn't even had a chance to tell you. And they're planning a trip here in October. And I told him, I said, well, don't book a motel room. I'll let y'all stay on the houseboat. And we'll get out and hunt somewhere. I want to put them on a colonial site somewhere if we can.
Yeah, that would be great. Of course, it rained. They come on Saturday. Well, they hunted the Saturday, and it rained on Sunday, and that's the day we were planning on hitting a colonial site. So they didn't get to hunt the colonial site. But they, on the way home, after they run out of the rain, they went door knocking again and had pretty good luck.
They killed it in Western Kentucky. I mean, the guy, he's just he's just in a. Well, he told me, he said, I'm in a zone. And yes, he is. And Matt House says, houseboat party.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good to me. And then Raina will drive us around on the lake, and we can hunt where we want to. Hey, Josh, out of all of your hunting, what's been your favorite find, whether it's a Cohen or a relic or whatever?
Usually I tell people it's just been the friends and the connections that I make in the hobby, because the material finds, they come and go. Sometimes you lose them. Sometimes, unfortunately, people break in and steal them and things like that. But those have been the real memories and favorite finds of the hobby, so to speak. I've found a few other kind of interesting things, though. Really enjoy finding the old tokens and Civil War store cards and other little oddities.
Yeah, I do too. And I'm like you. I mean, there's nothing to compare with the community that we've connected with and the people that we've got to hunt with. Just think back, Jeff, of the people that we have met this year since DIV. Who all are they?
I can't name them all. There's been a bunch, and I mean that's the way it is. I mean, this hobby, it makes friendships, and nobody, like Seven and I, we don't get jealous of each other, and none of our friends that we've met get jealous of each other. So I mean, it's we've met a lot of people.
We got to meet, of course, we got to meet Jeff Ford at DIV. And that was a treat. That was last year. This year we got to meet Matt Howell and all of his group out of Virginia there. We got to meet the infamous Barb, and that was a treat in and of itself. And then we got to meet Wes Stringer whenever they came over. We got to meet Will Johnson. That was last year out of California, hunted with us at DIV, and then he scheduled a trip here and hunted with us here in Tennessee. Didn't hunt any in Kentucky. But people like Josh and people like Mark Hoover and people like Bill Marsh, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but
Jess Rogers
and Jesse Rogers. We got to meet Jesse Rogers, or I did, at Chattanooga.
Yeah, I met him there too.
And then Heath Jones and Scott Duncan, but the people that we haven't met, I feel as close to Josh and Jason Quarterhorter. I feel as close to them as I do Jeff. And me and Jeff, we see each other all the time. But it's just what this hobby brings, isn't it, Josh?
Absolutely. I mean, it's almost like an extended family, you might as well say, or even a fraternity or brotherhood.
No. And Mark Hoover, we haven't met Mark Hoover yet, but I mean, he's like part of the family. And when I first started watching metal detecting videos, that's right when I started metal detecting, and I got to watching these guys' videos, and then before I met them, I felt like family to them because I knew how they were, and I knew pretty much their favorite drink. And it was, I'm going to say Hornbush and Sham and Randy Scholl and a lot of guys from Virginia. And I knew moon pies and RC colas was their favorite snack food and drinks. So, I mean, it's pretty awesome. You get to know a lot of people that way.
And you say,
you're right.
You say that right there about any redneck. And the highlight of our year, probably mine anyway, one of the great highlights was being sitting in the chair next to Heath Jones and Butch Holcomb whenever they did the infamous dance there at Chattanooga, and talking about
was hilarious.
It was hilarious, and talking about Butch. Let's run his ad, why don't we? If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671 and be sure and tell them that you heard it on Relics Radio. And by the way, in the January-February issue of American Digger magazine, the article that I did on the Great Silver Horde with Jeff Ford and Wes Stringer, and also with Chris Hamsoff, their friend, came in on the last hunt of that. That will appear in American Digger magazine in the January and February issue. So grab a copy of that and be a subscriber if you're not. I'll tell you what, it's the greatest digging magazine. In fact, they've won awards for over the past 3 years of being the best digger magazine in the country. And well-deserved awards, isn't it?
It sure is.
Absolutely.
So I got to thinking, we need to come up with a southern hunt and a northern hunt. Some Civil War, southern relics, and then we need to go up like around Ohio and see if we can get some a few large scents and stuff.
I tell you, I want to go to Ohio. I mean, there's just no doubt in my mind that that's where I want to go. I want to meet Josh face to face, and I also want to meet Bill Marsh, and I think Mark Hoover would probably come up, and they're just all kind of guys up there in and around the Ohio area, that it'd just be a great trip, and get a bunch of them together up that way and hunt, and then maybe, like you say, have a southern hunt down here and have as many of the... Me and Jeff had talked about having just a podcast, hunt where not only the host, but all of the people that support all of our programs and everything everybody just get together and just have a big podcast hunt. Maybe one in the southern part of the country and one up around Ohio or something other. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
It sure would.
There you go.
North versus South hunt.
Well, it depends on where we hunt at. Who might win that? I don't know what the deal would be on that. Hey, Josh, you hadn't talked about your detectors that you use, the ones that you have used, and what your go-to detectors are now. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I've got a few of them around. I mean, like I said, I did at some point in time swing a Garrett. Good machines, definitely good machines. But for me, my style of hunting, the area I'm in, stuff like that, the ones that have really worked for me over the years have been Mine Labs. I've used some whites and Tesoros and different things like that. But once I started using Mine Labs, you could say I was addicted. I mean, I was drugged. And I've even used a Deus as well. They're not bad either. But nothing finds old deep silver like a Mine Lab.
I've seen several videos of the Mine Lab, and then of course they do find silver.
Right. I've actually fairly extensively ran E-Track, CTX, Excalibur, the Go Finds, did some work with them there for a while. Been a number of Mine Lab machines that I've used, and I'm very comfortable with their audio.
Well, see, I run into it was a YouTube channel, and I watched it for a while, and I can't remember the name of it. It was a father and son out of the Carolinas. I think it may be South Carolina, maybe North. I'm really not for sure. But they would go outdoor knocking, and they had E-Tracks. And this is when the E-Track was first come out, and I mean, they were doing real good with the E-Track, and they was killing it finding the silver coins.
The E-Track,
oh, yeah.
The tone of an E-Track on silver always had that distinctive, and you will know if you're an E-Track user what I'm talking about, that fluty silver sound. It was...
Yeah, you didn't even have to look at your screen. You knew it if you got your coil over it.
That's right. And the CTX, you lost that, didn't you, Josh?
You did a little bit. I was a little disappointed at first when I switched over to the CTX because you're exactly right. One of my first issues, I guess you could say, with the CTX, I'm like, well, wait a minute. I lost that E-Track silver tone. Where did it go? And you were able to get in there and play with the pitch settings a little bit and stuff like that to somewhat mimic it. But it still wasn't the same. But there were a lot of people around that point too saying that, oh, the CTX is just an overglorified E-Track. It's a waterproof E-Track. And they weren't. The CTX was a completely different machine on its own, but still a very good machine and great at deep silver.
It is, and it had a lot of things going for it that the E-Track didn't have. I used the GPS function on my CTX a whole lot whenever I was hunting documenting the Civil War camp here. And whenever I found an item, I carried a little notebook in my pocket, and I would write down the number and the find, and then whenever I come home from hunting each day, I'd download all of that onto Google Earth. And I was able to put together a chart of every Civil War find that I found on that camp, and actually worked with an archaeologist out of Ohio that worked with me on that, and he was actually able to, of course, I would identify what the item was, and he was able to identify the battle lines and the retreat lines and everything. Not even, I didn't tell him the battle, I didn't tell him where it was or anything. I just threw a map up there and marked out anything that would distinguish where he could look at that and say, oh, that's in Kentucky. He had no idea where it was at. And, I mean, he nailed it. And so, you know, and you could do that with a GPX where you couldn't do that with an E-Track unless you had a handheld GPS or something other.
So that was
Right.
That feature was that accurate on the CTX.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah, absolutely it was. And when you're able to translate all that over to a map like Lloyd did, it really puts things in a whole different perspective.
And I tell you what, I made finds because I began to notice patterns of where I was finding bullets and buttons and things like that. And then
That's right.
I would look and I would say, there has to be something there because there's things to the east of it and there's things to the west of it, and there has to be something right in there. And so I'd go back and I'd actually use the GPS function to put me on the spot. I'd have it marked down. And actually, I even put the marker in the CTX, and you could pull up a little screen there, and it would show you where you were at and where your point was, and you could walk right to it. And I actually found more stuff by looking at those patterns. And so there are a lot of amenities with the CTX that make it a wonderful machine.
Right. And there were, unfortunately, some people out there say, well, you know, you're paying for the name and all the bells and whistles. We don't need all that. And for some people, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we don't. But for other people, they found it to be a very nice asset in the field.
It was.
Well, you know, the longer I relic hunt, that would be a good asset to any machine, is to be able to look at where you've been and then document all your finds exactly where you found them on a map.
Oh, man.
Right.
I mean, it's a game changer. I mean, it really is. And you can begin to, because I'd go blue and red with what I found Union stuff and then what I found Confederate stuff. And I would you could put a little dot, well, you could put any kind of icon that you wanted to on there on Google Earth, but I just used dots because it took less space. And then I'd put a number. I started numbering at 100, and I think on that one side I finally dug over 600 or 700 bullets off the thing and buttons. But you could begin to look at it, and it told a story all of its own because you could see the red and you could see the blue, and you could just visualize what had happened in that little battle right there, you know.
Right. And it really does put it into a whole different perspective when you're able to look at it on the map like that after you've mapped these finds that have been made. That was one of the surprising things actually about the GoFind series of detectors with their smartphone app. The mapping on it was extremely accurate.
And, you know, I understand there's a lot of people that are not going to use that. And, an AT Pro will serve them well. That's a great machine. I own two of them, and I'm not going to get rid of either one of them.
No, you couldn't buy mine. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, they're great machines. But you cannot go out and document a site with an AT Pro. You're going to have some kind of external something. But it's the difference between a $600 or $700 machine and a $2,500 machine too, you know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, you know, I've told people on the show many times, and I'm sure you guys have too, I'm certainly not knocking Garrett's. They're good machines. And the important part is that people need to find what works for them in their particular situation.
And, you know, and I know that you've done this. You'll see somebody on, say on Facebook or on a forum or something, and they'll throw out there, what is the, you know, I'm going to get in, I want to get into metal detecting. What's the best detector that I need to buy? You cannot answer that question until you know some particulars about that individual. You have to know what kind of hunting are you doing, and what is your budget, and what features do you want to have on a machine. And there's just a lot of things that you need to ask, you know. Are you a water hunter? Are you a dry land hunter? Do you hunt the ocean? Do you hunt fresh water? You can't answer that, but there'll be people throw out there, because, well, I've got a CTX, so I'm going to tell them a CTX is the best machine. In every environment, the CTX may not be the best machine.
Absolutely. And people flock to posts like that, just like flies. And you're going to see all sorts of different answers under the sun. And the thing that surprises me is, like you said, a lot of people are just going to jump right in and start naming off what machine is their favorite. Not necessarily what's going to work best for the person who's getting into the hobby. And that's all they want to do, is they want to recommend their favorite. And it takes a while before somebody thinks, hey, maybe I should find out what's going to suit this person's needs. Not what I think they should use, but what's going to suit what they're doing, their location, their type of hunting, their environment, stuff like that. And a lot of times I like to tell them too, try to find some local hunters, because if you can find what they're using, what's working well for them in your area, chances are very, very good it's going to work well for you as well.
That's true. And that's like somebody in Virginia, if they're going to hunt in around Culpeper, and, they put on there, I want to get into hunting Civil War relics. What machine do I need to get? Well, somebody says, well, you need to get a CTX. A CTX in Culpeper in the fields is useless. You're not going to find anything because you're not going to get any depth. You've got to have a GPX now for that. So, yeah, talk to the local people. What are they using? What are they successful with? And then that's what's, that will get you in a direction. Maybe you can't spend that kind of money on that machine, but at least what you're up against,
Right. Yeah. You've got a starting point and know what you're trying to work towards, at least. Because, like you said, with Culpeper, that's not to say that you can't use another machine there, but nothing is going to perform like when you're talking Culpeper, it's a PI game.
That's it.
And GPX is king in that area.
I tried to.
And are you hunting colonial sites? Are you hunting Civil War sites? And are you hunting woods? Are you hunting fields? I mean, there's a lot of different places there to hunt. And I've hunted Culpeper several times with a VLF. Now, I have found some decent stuff, but I mean, it's nowhere near what I found with the GPX or a pulse machine.
Right. Yeah. It's not to say that you won't find anything, but usually, especially in a situation like that, you will find that you're more satisfied if you can handle the budget and get into something that's going to work for that intended application.
That's right. Hey, guys, we're reaching the top of the hour. We've got another commercial to run, and when we come back, we're going to open up the phone lines, 270-495-0315, and Jeff will put that in the chat, and we'll be back in a minute and a half. If your passion is metal detecting, then you know how much your success is based on the equipment you use. Let my buddy Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, help you with that. Tim is an authorized dealer of Garrett, XP Deus, Tesoro, and Macro detectors and supplies, and he is now an authorized dealer for MineLab. So, if you're looking to get your hands on the new Equinox 600 or 800, then Tim is your guy. Murray Branch Outdoors is not only competitive in their prices, but the service after the sale is second to none. Tim not only sells detectors, he uses them, and so he can answer any questions you might have. Murray Branch Outdoors also deals in used detectors, and he'll take your old detector in on trade when you decide to upgrade. So give Tim of Murray Branch Outdoors a call at 615-948-4611, and be sure and tell him Relics Radio sent you. And Tim Henderson and Ron Reed are two other guys that we've met over the past year or so that are just absolutely great people. We've had the opportunity to hunt with them. And I talked to Tim today, and he's got some of the 6-inch coils for the Equinox. And so if you're looking for those, and the dealer that you have contacted has those back ordered, you can get one right now from Tim Henderson. And by the way, we have a link or a number that you can get a hold of him. It's in the description on this podcast here, as all of our advertisers are. So give us a call, 270-495-0315.
There you go. I put it in the chat. So,
what question have you got, Jeff?
well, I was going to ask him, how long have you been metal detecting, Josh?
Not quite as long as 7.
Well, I mean, that's obvious. I mean, nobody in the chat's been metal detecting as long as 7 put together.
Right. Let's see here. Do the math real quick. About 25 years.
Man, that seems like a long time whenever you're saying nowhere near as long as I have, and then you pop out there 25 years. Oh, man, you just busted my bubble. You guys see what I got to put up with here.
He's terrible.
I know it. I started in 1975, bought my first detector. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. Back then, there were very few people that had detectors. You could still find silver by the bucket loads. There was a schoolhouse right across from my house. I went to a pawn shop and bought a used metal detector. I bought an old White's, and I walked across the street to the school. And I guess I filled both pockets up with silver coins. And I mean, Standing Liberty, Walking Liberty, Mercury dimes, a few barbers and what have you, because they were all just laying there. You know, nobody had, and it's really pre-pull tab. There wasn't too many pull tabs at the time. Now you had some bottle caps, but I mean, it was a great time to hunt. But the more it goes, the harder it gets. And that's where machines now are really making the difference, ain't they, Josh?
Oh, absolutely they are. The technology that we have at our disposal now, if we had had that, back when you got started, can you imagine the finds that were made? Because look at all the targets that may have been masked or something like that, where now the processors are faster. Their unmasking capabilities are better. They're going deeper. They're lighter weight. They're rechargeable. When Garrett come out with their original Pro Pointer, that was a game changer for a lot of us once we had these pinpointers in our hands.
I'd never used a pinpointer until I seen that first Garrett. I always just took a handful of dirt after I dug a hole and just run it over my coil, and there's still people that do that. But,
exactly, and I was one of them that used to do that.
But I tell you what, once you use a pinpointer, and the battery went out on mine out on the lake yesterday, and I had to revert back to that, dig out a scoop underwater, and then come up and rub it on my coil. And I tell you what, those few clad dimes and quarters and nickels and pennies that I found, they were well deserved whenever you had to wave all that in front of a pinpointer, I mean,
right. The pinpointers spoiled us because, like you said, once the battery goes dead, you just you don't kind of realize it, and then all of a sudden it's like, what am I going to do? The pinpointer doesn't work, and wow, this is kind of a lot of extra work now.
It is. I've seen. I've hunted with several older people, older than 7, believe it or not. But, of course, they never use the pinpointer. They just grab it up and wave it over their coil and grab it up. And then, of course, here I am pulling the pinpointer out. And then you can find it a whole lot easier if your battery's not dead. So.
Right. Well, and 7 can probably recall, too. We kind of touched on this a while back on Beyond Sight and Sound. But it amazes me now, say people that have been into the hobby 10 years or less. A lot of them don't even know of the existence of or realize that a lot of hunters out there used to use the old screwdriver trick for coin probe.
Yeah, just stick it in there until you felt it, and then you'd work it out. But everything that we found back in the day, course, we used concentric coils back in the day, and
that's right.
They were anywhere from 2 to 4 inches. I mean, you didn't dig 6, 8, 10, 12-inch stuff. I mean, you did
right.
2 to 4 inch stuff, you know.
Yeah, and it was laying everywhere to find, like you said.
And, you know, people will say, well, people have been hunting that site for 35 to 40 years. Well, look at what they were hunting with, though. You know, I mean, they were hunting with metal detectors that would go 2, 4, at the most 6 inches deep. And now then, you take an Equinox, or you even take an AT Pro, or especially a GPX. And I'm going to tell you, you get a GPX, you're going to have to get a bigger shovel.
Or just take Jeff Ford.
That's right. Josh, Sue Roberts has got a question. Actually, Mark Hoover pointed out in the chats. Let's see, I have a question for Josh. Josh, if you could hunt anywhere in the world, where would you choose and why?
Great question.
That is a good question. And I've never really thought about it because I've just been, I don't know, I guess you could say I've been content hunting everywhere that I can get to just here in the U.S. I suppose it would be neat at some point in time to go over and see what the history's like in, say, the U.K., because obviously their history dates so much further back. But you hear many times of people here stateside making these phenomenal finds that date back so far that you're just amazed when you hear that they're pulling, say, a coin from the 1600s. Jeff
found a pistarine at Greenfield Fort we were hunting. And he hollered at me and called me over, and he said, I've got silver. Well, I thought he had a mercury or maybe a barber, you know. We were finding flat buttons and everything. He said, I've got silver. And as I got closer, I started filming and walking toward the hole. And he said, I think it's a real. And I said, oh, me. And we got up there and got it cleaned off. And he said, I don't know my reals, but I believe that's what that is. Well, you know, both of us have found several of the Carlos III, Carlos IV reals, and it wasn't like that. And I told him, I said, I've never seen that style of a real. So I actually had to do some research on that, and it was really that 1 year they were shipped in. I think they were shipped in from Spain and came into the U.S., and the American merchants wouldn't take it. And so Spain finally had to recall all of that and melt those down. And the only ones in existence now are the ones that were lost. It's really a rare find that you find one of those because, you know, they took them out of circulation, they melted them down, they made Carlos III, made Carlos IV, and it was the weight that was the problem. Because the real that the pistarine was, it didn't have the silver weight to match the value of it. And so it was a rare find, and it was an old coin, I tell you.
1721.
Yeah.
And that was long before the Tennessee even thought of being a state. So,
hey, guys, we got a caller in finally before Skype cuts us off. Wes Stringer, what's going on tonight, Wes?
Hello, Wes.
It's a beautiful evening in the Ozarks, fellas.
Yeah.
I bet it is.
Can you?
Hey,
I've got a question.
A little bit there?
Oh, man, it's beautiful today. I don't think it got to 70 here today.
No kidding.
Yeah, but the heat's coming back. It's supposed to be 95 Saturday, so.
Well, buddy, you just keep it over that way.
Yeah,
right. It was nice here today, too. Not too hot, not too cold, just great weather to be outdoors.
It was about 55 here this morning, and we didn't have any humidity today. I mean, it was the hint of fall, and I hope we'll get at least one more day of that. What question did you have for Josh West?
Well, Josh, I was wondering if there was any relic or coin that has eluded you that you could not just find. What is the one thing that you have been after but just couldn't get on?
Well, I guess you could say in terms of like bucket list or something like that, I kind of look at it as like a smorgasbord. I'd like to find one of everything. But
Right.
there have been some coins like you hear people saying, oh, I want to find a seated quarter. Well, that seems to be the only seated that I can find. I can't find seated dimes. I find seated quarters. That's I know it's a tough problem to have, right? Like
Right.
there for a while. I mean, people see the Mercs and the Barber dimes and stuff like that, and I looked for quite some time to find a silver half. Wasn't concerned about what series or anything, just a silver half. I was going to be happy with any of them. And I fell into this problem where there for a while, it didn't matter where I was. If it was a silver half coming out of the ground, I couldn't find anything other than a Barber half.
Goodness gracious.
Wow.
You poor thing.
Huh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a heck of a problem to have, but there are still coins out there that, I'd love to find just one for my display. I mean, who wouldn't love to find a gold coin? Any denomination, I don't care, just a gold coin.
And I've got my line figured out. Whenever I find a gold coin, I'm going to say what Matt Howe did. What am I going to do with the rest of my life?
Well, it's always nice to move on to the next find.
And it only takes one coin sometimes. Now, Wes Stringer lands up on this big silver hoard, him and then brings Jeff Ford in, and they just find hundreds of silver coins in this big cache and everything. And you just think, there's no way that you can go back to normal detecting. No way at all. These guys are ruined. They'll never be worth a dime anymore as far as detecting. Wes comes over here, and what was it that you found, Wes?
I found my very first seated dime. It was 1853 seated dime.
Had the arrows on it. Beautiful coin.
Had the arrows. And we had split up. Wes and Tennessee Jeff had gone over to an adjoining farm that we had permission on. Me and Jeff Ford stayed on the Civil War camp there and was hunting. And we just let Tennessee Jeff and Wes go over there. And we said, if there's more stuff over there, will you give us a call and we'll come over? Well, we get Jeff Ford's phone rings. And he doesn't have it on speaker, but I can hear Wes and how excited that he was over that seated dime. And Jeff Ford, I mean, he just lit up like a Christmas tree, and he was pointing toward his phone, come here and listen. I said, I don't have to come over there. I can hear him from here. And so I thought, it just takes one coin to really, really make a guy's day, doesn't it, Wes? Oh, yes. Yes, it do.
And we didn't have permission on that property until we was hunting this one property that we had permission. And this guy pulls up on a four-wheeler and is like, well, hey, I own this property down here. If y'all want to check that out, check it out. There was an old church down there, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he said, yeah, come on down there. So me and Wes was like, well, let's go check it out. Of course, it's close to the L&N Railroad, which, I mean, there was a lot of Civil War activity. And then, bam, there was Wes found that 1853 seated, so. And we haven't been back to that spot, so.
No, and
still waiting on you, Wes.
It'd be a good one to check out again.
Yeah, I love it.
Right.
I love it when a plan comes together. Well, we did go back after y'all left, and it was full of yellowweed about 3 foot high. You couldn't even get a coil anywhere close to the ground.
Oh.
But that plan came together just really, really good for us. And what a
fate it had to be.
Yep. And we were supposed to hunt the next day, and it rained us out. And but I was telling Jeff a while ago, you're planning on coming again in October, so we're going to get on a colonial site somewhere here.
All right. We don't have those around here.
So, have you ever found a Riel, Wes?
Never have, no sir.
All right. What about Jeff? Do you know if he's ever found one?
Jeff Ford?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he has. I think he's found one.
Okay.
What about
sure
you,
of it.
Josh? How many reals have you got?
I've seen plenty of them, but I've yet to dig one. I've seen them dug in front of me.
Isn't that
But,
amazing? Y'all have large stands there like we've got pool tabs. And I was over 30 years finding my first large stand. I've got 3 now, but reals they're just not uncommon for us to find. Now we don't find them like we find pool tabs, but we'll find 2 or 3 of them a year. And I just can't understand why you guys, Digger Charlie has never found a real, but they have found all kind of coppers,
Right. Well, and that's not to say they're not around to be found. Like I said, I've seen them dug in front of me. Actually, there's a geographical area near me that I'd say in the last 5 years I've seen 3 8 reals come out of.
Oh man, only 8s I've ever found have been cut, and one of them I've got half of it, almost half of it, and I think a plow cut it because it's really not a clean cut. It's just more like a break, and I hunted that spot again early this morning, hoping I might pull that other piece out, but it eludes me. I can't find it. But it's amazing how, you've got something that you think I should have found by now, but you just haven't found it,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I see a lot of people too. You see some people that they're still looking for, say, a standing Liberty quarter. And for a coin that was known as the workhorse of the economy, there were so many of them out there, but a lot of people just can't get their coil over one.
That's right, or a walking Liberty, $50. You don't see a whole lot of those come out.
See, that's what I'm looking for, a walking or standing.
You don't have either one of those, and you should have found those. But I'll tell you guys, like I told Heath Jones and Scott Duncan, if you want to find a standing Liberty and a walker, you need to hunt a site from a house from the 1960s, because money was plentiful then. They gave their children money, and I remember sitting out in the yard a lot of times, and I know I've lost a dozen, halves and standing quarters and even some silver dollars. And, if you want to find those, your best shot is a 1960s house.
And see, that's most of the time
sometimes.
That's where you find most of your trash, though. And it's hard for me to hunt a 1960s house because of the trash. But I guess that's what I've got to do to find the walking. And then, of course, the reals, they were legal currency in the United States until 1857. So, that's the more older home sites that Seven and I hunt.
I'll hang up. Great show, guys.
Hey, great call, Wes, and looking forward to seeing you again soon in October. You'll be here before the article comes out. When it comes out, I want your autograph, okay?
Okay, I'll give it to you.
All right.
It ain't worth much, but I'll give it to you.
It will be, buddy.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're going to be a star.
Oh, Lord, I ain't worried about that.
No, I know you're
Thank you, guys.
Hey, thanks for the call, Wes.
Thanks, Wes. We'll see you.
Hey, guys, we've got just a little bit of time left. I would like to get another call in if we could. If you've got a question for Josh, 270-495-0315. Phone lines are open. Josh, what have you got planned for this fall and what have you?
Well, I guess much like many of the rest of the people out there, we're just kind of waiting for the crops to come off.
That's what
get out there into them fields.
That's what we're doing. Soybeans, and our soybeans come off later most of the time than our corn crops do because they chop a lot of silage here, and they'll do that, pretty quick. But I've been noticing some of the fields that I want to get in have got soybeans, and it may be, it may be November before they get them out, or late October. And I can't wait. I've got some spots that, that I've hunted that has still got some stuff on it, and I want to put the Equinox on those sites and see what it will do.
Well, and you figured down there like that time of the year is going to be great hunting weather for you guys.
That's our time, ain't it, Jeff?
It sure is.
Fall and winter.
Fall and winter. And then Jennifer was reading a thing on Channel 5 said we was going to have a warmer fall. And then I was like, well, where'd they hear that from? She's like, well, I don't know. So I don't know if it was a farmer's almanac or what. But, I mean, they said something about a warmer fall. So, but, I mean, as soon as we get that first frost, we should be pretty good.
Yeah, and hopefully it will trim some of these allergies back. I've had more allergy problems this year than I've ever had in my 165 years of life.
A lot of people have had those issues here lately, though, too. And good grief, we've had a very serious issue up here, and it's been pretty much that way across the nation with ticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I've seen a lot of stuff about up around your area about ticks being bad this year.
Yeah, it's just been a real nightmare.
And Lyme disease with them, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And see, this year, normally I get eat up by ticks. I mean, Seven can tell you they love me. But this year, I mean, I haven't, maybe five total has been I've found on me, but other than that, I mean, that's not too bad.
We ain't hunted.
Right.
We ain't hunted none either, though, in spots where there's ticks. You know, we've been hunting in yards and things, old places, or in open pasture fields. But Jeff's right. When we get in the woods, they absolutely have a field day with him.
Right, and that's a good point too. You say sometimes we're not hunting these areas that ticks are even an issue, but up here, I've been in areas where normally a lot of times I don't have any issues with ticks, and some of the areas that I'm going into, there's never been an issue with them, but now all of a sudden we're having that problem.
Quarter hoarder. Keep my ticks to a minimum.
Yeah. I'll give you one tip.
Exactly.
I'll give you two tips, guys, that will help you. I take a vitamin B complex. It helps with mosquitoes. It helps with any kind of insects because your pores will emit a certain odor that they don't like from really any kind of a vitamin B will do that. But the vitamin B complex has a variety of vitamin Bs that you can use, and that will help. Now that alone won't work, but then get you a DEET spray of at least a power of 40, and then what is that people put on their clothes? Permethrin.
Yeah, permethrin. Sawyer makes a good product out there that you can buy just about off any department store, hardware store shelf that you can treat your clothing. That it'll last for six or eight washes, I believe. And that stuff, you don't want to let it touch your skin. Don't let your animals get to it or anything. But it'll kill ticks on contact.
I'm gonna put a bunch on my porch. I got a bunch of cats I need to get rid of. I'm just kidding, guys. Don't turn me into the animal rights. We're worried about the Antifa and everything here. We sure don't need the animal rights people on us too. Shut us down.
No,
right, right. Yeah, we got enough problems.
That's right. Hey, Jeff, or Josh, who have you got lined up as far as guests in the near future?
Well, I've been kind of laying back a little bit, so to speak, because I'm coming up on a medical treatment. But I do still have a couple of them that we're trying to get worked in. Some of it's just a scheduling issue, I guess you could say, because this time of the year, we all want to be out getting our dig on. The most recent, though, or the nearest one that I can think of right off the top of my head is actually in the chat. The 29th, we'll have Quarter Hoarder on.
He's a great guest. We've had him on, and the only thing about Quarter Hoarder is that he needs to be more animated and he needs to talk more. I commented that on Jeff Ford's YouTube video today. I said, yeah, Quarter Hoarder is he's a great guy, but I said he needs to talk more and he needs to be more animated. And Jeff said all of his clips I had to slow down to 50% instead of 100%, you know, because he's talking constantly and his hands are moving. I don't believe that he could say suey if the hogs were after him if you had his hands tied behind him. But what a great guy.
Oh, yeah, and he makes some great finds and really does an awesome job with his videos. For those that have followed him.
Do what?
For those that have followed him, you know, we've gotten to see his channel really blow up. He's got, over 20,000 subscribers or so, if I remember right.
You know what did that was the witch's jar.
Right, yeah. It just goes to show you never know what you're going to find out there.
Well, you know, let me qualify that. That gave him a big shot in the arm, but you still have to have the week-to-week content to keep those people there, or they'll drop you, you know. So,
and he's doing very well at that.
He is. He does a great job, and he's just the kind of guy, when you watch one of his videos, you already feel like that he's your friend, and you know, he's just personable, and you just like him. Yes. You can't keep from liking him.
Yeah.
He's like, exactly. Hello, I'm here, guys.
Oh, whoops. Well, I guess we better quit talking about him.
Yeah. I thought he might I thought he might call in, but my chat locks up. I don't know why that happens, but the host...
It's so old.
The host, and Josh will tell you this, the chat locks up around 250, 300, something like that, and you just don't get any more of it. So I depend on...
350 comments, if I remember right.
What is it?
350.
350. Well, I've been locked up a long time. In fact, Gone Diggin said houseboat party. That's the last chat that I got.
No kidding.
And that was a long time ago, so I have no idea what everybody's saying about me. I have to finish up the show and then go back through the chat and make my naughty list out from everybody making fun of me being so old.
Hey, Quarter Hoarder put, your show would be twice as long, Loy.
Mine would?
Yeah.
Yeah. If he called in, well, that's okay. Mm-hmm. You know, we got up to 3 hours, don't we, Josh?
That's right, and we've well surpassed that 350 comment mark, and that's got to be because of you and Jeff.
Oh
no. Nobody wants to hear two rednecks talk this long.
Well, and really though, you guys do put on a good show over here.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, we really appreciate.
And I tell you what, Josh, when we first got started, when we were trying to get our feet wet. And like I say, you don't know what all goes on behind the scenes, how much work that this really is. Josh was very, very instrumental in helping us, and we owe him a great debt of gratitude for everything that he has done for us. He's just a stand-up guy. But, you know, that's the case with all of these podcasts. You know, we're just one great big community, and, you know, we'll offer you the same thing that we do anybody else. You know, if anything ever comes up and you need for us to set in for you, we're more than happy to do that at any time. And may holler at you, you know, if we get in a situation where need you to host our show. You and Jeff would do a bang-up job, I know.
And another one too, just to kind of keep us out of trouble. I see Chris Heinsalt's in chat too, so we probably ought not say anything more about him either.
Oh man,
Chris is.
Did I miss Chris? I'm sorry, Chris.
I didn't see.
Oh, yep.
I didn't see Chris in my chat. Locked up before Chris ever got in. But yeah, we've had a good show tonight. You've been a great guest. Of course, I knew that you would be. And you've got a great following. People love your show, and there's a reason why that they do. And, you know, we've got people on here tonight that we haven't seen before, and I know that's because of you. You've brought them over tonight.
Yep.
And we certainly do appreciate that. Hey, Josh, before we get off, tell everybody how they can get in touch with Josh Kimmel or Beyond Sight and Sound.
Well, I'm kind of a little bit of everywhere, I guess you could say. They can find the Beyond Sight and Sound show right here on Spreaker on Wednesday and Sunday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern. They can find me on Facebook as Josh Kimmel. They can find me through the Beyond Sight and Sound page on Facebook, the Beyond Sight and Sound group on Facebook. Or if, maybe that stuff isn't quite their thing and they like videos or kind of lean more towards the video side of things, they can find me on YouTube as Ohio Metal Detecting. There's even a few Beyond Sight and Sound archives up there, too.
Good job. And I tell you what, go and listen to his show. Very entertaining. He has some great guests, and even when he doesn't have a guest, he has a good show.
Sure
does a good job with it. And I don't guess you're planning on retiring anytime soon, are you?
Well, I don't plan to, but then again, I didn't plan to give up my job either. There, last year, you could kind of say I was unintentionally retired from the workforce, but that gives me a little more time to try to focus on the hobby and the shows and continuing to help everybody in the hobby as much as I can. Anyway, I just try to do what I can.
And you do
That's all you can do.
Yeah, you do a good job of it. You are a Class 1 ambassador for metal detecting, and our hat's off to you, Josh.
Sure is.
Well, very kind. I just, like I said, I try to do what I can, but you guys do a great job too, and that's the thing. You try to associate with the right people and like-minded individuals and stuff like that. You want to be successful in the field or something like that. Well, you go and you find hunters that are good in the field, and chances are you learn a few things along the way. And we all kind of grow together that way.
We do. I've learned more in the past couple of years than I've learned in all of my metal detecting career put together, and it's just because of guys like you and all these guys on chat be able to talk with them and joke with them and learn from them and hunt with some of them, and hopefully my bucket list is to be able to hunt with as many people that listen to our show as possible. I'd like to be able to hunt with absolutely every one of you, but time is a factor, distance is a factor, and there are a lot of factors that come in with that. But
that's right.
Surely,
I'd love to do that myself too. And it's funny because I just I don't run across too many people like that here in my area. But I have heard from other people that have been out hunting. I got a message a while back from Steve Zazulik. That he had even mentioned he had been out on I believe it was a beach in Florida, and was just so surprised because they listened to Beyond Sight and Sound.
Yeah, you got a good following in Florida. We've got a good following in Florida as well. We got a good following in Ohio and up along the East Coast and different places. Australia.
That's right.
I was telling Tim Henderson today. We got people in the UK and Australia and just places. There's some countries that I didn't even know existed that listen to our show. Of course, they have to listen to the archives, I'm sure. And
right, yeah, I've been in that situation before too, where I'll see something like that and go, wait, where is that even at? I've never heard of it.
Is that on Mars or what?
There is a place that we've got a listener that lives, and it is called the Isle of Man, M-A-N. I've never heard of it. Never heard. I have no clue where it's at. The Isle of Man. So
there's been a few times where I'm kind of looking at some comments or when you check the demographics and you're looking and you're saying, wow, do they even speak our language there? Do they understand what we're saying, or are they just listening? Hopefully they're learning something.
Okay, on the archives, when you go back, does it have translate like on some of the Facebook posts?
I don't think so. I don't think it.
No.
I don't think it translates, and so
Right,
if they're
because
listening.
I have gotten comments like that before where I've got to copy the post out of the chat and take it to Google Translate to even remotely understand what they were saying.
Yeah, I've done the same thing, and then so.
And what a culture shock for somebody in the Isle of Man to listen to two rednecks with a metal detector.
Yeah, what about that?
talking about no Tifa and doing the manatee crawl.
Mm-hmm.
They think that we're crazy. Hey, Josh, you've been a great guest. We've run a little over an hour and a half now. We've probably kept you long enough. And I know you just got off of a show last night, and you got another one coming up Sunday. So we don't want to extend you no more than we have to. But you've been very gracious to come on, and you have been very instrumental in helping us. And we just want to thank you, don't we, Jeff?
We sure do. We really appreciate you. Appreciate all our listeners out there. And then, of course, I want to know where Barb is tonight. She better have a good reason not to be on tonight.
Barb's working.
Barb's still working the archive circuit.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's working. She's nursing now, isn't she?
Yeah, so and that's actually taking up her evenings. So I'm sure she's still following the shows, but she's doing it through the archives at this point, I would think.
Yeah.
Well, we love you, Barb.
Yeah, we do, Barb. And she had a message on. I posted where Josh was going to be on, and she said, "I sure hope I'm off Thursday night where I can listen." But obviously, she had to work, and life gets in the way. But we appreciate.
I guess I dodged a bullet there then. She didn't put me on the plank.
Yeah. Funny story before we close. And when we were in digging in Virginia, there was a scarf left there, and I'm sure it was Barb's. But she left it in the conference room there where we were doing our live show, and she was live with us there and was actually on the air with us and everything. And I threw that thing in my flight case and brought it home, and I said something other to her. I said, "I've got your scarf, by the way." And she said, "I didn't lose no scarf." And Jeff said, "He's kept that thing ever since early spring, and it wasn't even yours."
Well, hey, you never know.
Well, I was going to auction it off, but I may just hang on to it, Barb, and bring it to you the next DIV. Hope you can make the next DIV in the spring. But I'll bring
I
it.
believe
And
she's planning to.
Yeah. She loves her DIV with her GPX 4500. She's a go-getter, I tell you. You don't talk to her.
Yes, she is.
You don't talk to her while she's hunting, because she'll break one of your legs with a swing.
She will.
She's all business.
Plenty of time for talk after the dig.
That's right. Wait till we get back to the restaurant at the motel or wherever we're going to eat supper at, and then we'll talk. Leave me alone while I'm hunting, Hey, guys, appreciate everybody being on, and if you two guys will hang on, I'll be back just as soon as I close the show out. Appreciate all of the people in chat. Appreciate the call. If you like metal detecting shows, be sure that you check out Josh, Beyond Sight and Sound, Sunday night and Wednesday night, 8 p.m. right here on Spreaker. On Monday night, American Digger Relic Roundup is at 9 p.m. Eastern. An hour before that, All Metal Mode is on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday night, The History Seekers on Tuesday at 9 p.m. And then Hardcore Metal Detecting has a show on Thursday night and Saturday night at 8 o'clock. We'll be back here next Thursday night where our guests will be Ken and Mark Guthrie, the T-shirt guys, the purveyors of the Manatee Crawl. So we want to say good night to you and hope that you join us next Thursday night. Until then, get out there and find something. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us live each Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker. Or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, or iTunes. Please take a minute and hit the like button and be sure and follow us so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. You can also find us on YouTube at Digging with 7 or Tennessee Jeff, or you can check us out on our Relics Radio Facebook page. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to diggingwith7@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you'll join us next Thursday night, and until then, get out there and dig some history.